Nobody expected Yoshi to go in this direction. Yoshi and the Mysterious Book takes Nintendo's most lovable dinosaur away from traditional platforming and throws him into a strange mix of puzzles, experimentation, and creature research, all disguised beneath the classic Yoshi gameplay fans know and love. But does this unexpected twist actually work? Well, let's talk about it. Very few expected the successor to Yoshi's Crafted World to be something this different. A cozy game with no health bar, where curiosity matters more than reflexes. It sounds risky, and honestly, it is. Bowser Jr. and Kamek have spent years being a thorn in Yoshi's side, and in Yoshi and the Mysterious Book, they return once again. This time, Bowser's son steals a magical book from his father's library and ends up trapped inside his pages alongside Kamek. As a result, the book itself, a cheerful talking encyclopedia named Mr. E, falls from the sky onto Yoshi Island. Mr. E asks Yoshi to venture into his pages and investigate the creatures living inside them. That's the excuse behind the entire adventure, and the core idea tying the story to the gameplay. Sounds nice on paper. The problem is that the story never really goes beyond that. The characters' motivations feel paper thin. Kamek and Bowser Jr. are searching for a mythical creature hidden within the book, but there's no real evolution, no twists, and no narrative hook that makes you eager to learn more. I mean, they could just as easily be chasing a giant coin and the result would pretty much feel the same. And honestly, that's frustrating. Toward the final stretch, and especially through certain unlockable pages, the story gains a bit more depth and shows there was potential for something much bigger, but it arrives far too late. It feels like all the love went straight into the gameplay, while the story itself was left with little more than cardboard scenery. It could easily pass off for the plot of a Super Nintendo-era Super Mario game, where the narrative was simply an excuse to connect levels together. And I mean, that worked perfectly fine back in the 90s, but at this point in the series, you kinda expect something with a bit more substance. Now, where the presentation truly shines is in the creature design. There's a huge variety of them, and every single one features impressive artistic and conceptual work, each with its own personality. And when recognizable creatures from the Mario and Yoshi universe appear, the game instantly jumps several levels higher. Investigating a creature you already know and discovering behaviors you never expected creates a really unique sense of satisfaction. It kind of feels like reconnecting with old friends in an entirely new way. The bittersweet detail, however, is that most creatures are completely new creations. So that powerful feeling of recognition only appears sparingly. When it does though, it is fantastic, but it doesn't happen nearly as often as we would have liked. The Yoshi series is probably Nintendo's most artistically daring franchise. From the yarn aesthetic of Yoshi's Woolly World to the cardboard style of Yoshi's Crafted World, every entry aims for its own unique visual identity. Yoshi and the Mysterious Book not only continues that tradition, it really elevates it. Nintendo Switch 2 definitely has more than enough horsepower, and the game's hand-drawn style that mimics stop-motion animation takes full advantage of it. Yoshi himself, for example, is animated at a lower frame rate than the rest of the elements on screen. That intentional mismatch creates a handcrafted cartoon effect that looks incredibly charming and genuinely original. The overall result really is striking. The game runs at a dynamic resolution that can even drop to 720p in TV mode, but thanks to all the visual effects, the drop is practically impossible to notice, while still targeting 60 frames per second. Now, things get a little messier when dozens of creatures start running around the screen at once. We did notice occasional frame drops during the most graphically demanding sections, although the art style does a great job hiding them. I mean, since some elements already animate at lower frame rates, those dips are far less noticeable than they probably should be. There's not really much excuse for it though. Nintendo Switch 2 can absolutely handle this and much more. In fact, handheld mode actually feels even better than TV mode. But overall, this is the best looking Yoshi game to date. It easily surpasses the artistic style of both Yoshi's Crafted World and Yoshi's Woolly World, becoming one of the most visually distinctive games on the entire system. Yoshi games have always had a strange relationship with music. Their soundtracks tend to be oddly divisive, with melodies that receive more criticism than praise. Yoshi and the Mysterious Book improves things slightly. The soundtrack's overall quality is definitely higher, but it does still fall short of the standard Nintendo usually delivers in its other franchises. At least Yoshi's voices remain the classic ones fans already know, untouched aside for a few new reactions tied to specific foods or creatures. There are also remixes of the main theme that sound more polished and carefully designed. It's a positive step forward for sure. Not enough perhaps, but at least it's moving in the right direction. Yoshi games have changed a lot since Super Mario World 2: Yoshi's Island. Developed by Nintendo's internal Super Mario team on the Super Nintendo, it was once considered the true Super Mario Bros. 5, and to this day, it remains the dinosaur's highest peak. Later though, good feel took over the franchise with games like Yoshi's Crafted World, enjoyable adventures, but nowhere near that legendary standard. Well, forget all of that. Yoshi and the Mysterious Book isn't a traditional platformer at all. It's a puzzle and experimentation game disguised as a platformer, something completely different from anything Yoshi has starred in before. So if you're coming in expecting the successor to Yoshi's Island or another co-op platformer like Yoshi's Crafted World, adjust your expectations immediately. Each level works like a playground where Yoshi experiments with Mr. E's creatures, eating them, riding them, throwing eggs at them. Every action can trigger a discovery, and that constant curiosity becomes a driving force pushing the game forward. The variety is massive. Every stage revolves around a creature with its own unique interactions. Some let you speed across water, others enhance your jumps, some transform the environment itself, and you can even take control of gigantic beasts that turn levels into complete chaos. The game's smartest trick, something we already noticed during our first preview session, is that the knowledge you gain never stays locked inside a single stage. You can revisit previous areas, apply what you've learned, and uncover interactions you never imagined before. It feels like the entire adventure is built around that idea, though some creatures shine more than others, of course. But even the less memorable ones still introduce fresh gameplay ideas. Nintendo clearly poured an incredible amount of creativity into the habitats, behaviors, and designs of every creature. This concept has turned Yoshi and the Mysterious Book into the longest game in the entire series. Its slow-paced rhythm, relaxed experimentation, and huge amount of secrets can easily push playtime beyond 20 or even 30 hours if you want to unlock everything. Yoshi has no health bar, and failure carries very few consequences. It's an extremely accessible adventure for all audiences, where the real challenge comes from your own imagination. Some discoveries are so obscure that, unless you spend tokens to predict them, they're almost impossible to figure out. Yoshi's movement feels so precise and satisfying that it's hard not to imagine how incredible a traditional Yoshi's Island-style platformer built around these controls could have been. Now, personally, we really missed a mode that truly pushes your skills to the limit. That lingering feeling never fully goes away. Nintendo does deserve a bit of criticism here. Yoshi and the Mysterious Book is a game that practically begs to be shared with someone else, yet it has no multiplayer mode whatsoever. Previous entries in the series featured fantastic co-op gameplay, and it's genuinely difficult to understand why a game so focused on experimentation doesn't let you sit on the couch with someone else and discover things together. Instead, Nintendo chose a different approach, encouraging every player to keep their own save file and share discoveries through conversation. The idea is clearly to encourage discussion at home, sharing knowledge with your kids, partner, or friends. An idyllic vision only Nintendo could really come up with. In practice, though, it doesn't feel nearly as engaging as the active participation previous games offered. The game is compatible with amiibo figures, although the rewards mainly focus on tokens used to predict discoveries. There's also an exploration tool system that lets you customize the game's interface by spending smiley flowers. You can equip modules like a compass for collectibles, a creature research percentage meter, or a fruit locator. Others are far less useful but wonderfully quirky, such as a step counter, a heart rate monitor, or even a food flavor detector. And honestly, if there's one area where Yoshi and the Mysterious Book truly excels, it's in the details and the overwhelming creativity constantly bursting out of it. We liked Yoshi and the Mysterious Book quite a lot, but, and this is important, it's definitely not a game for everyone. It's a very particular concept, almost like digital experimentation turned into a video game, an interactive laboratory of sorts. The idea works, and it's executed well, even if the story and overall narrative development fall noticeably short. I mean, the game would have been significantly stronger if only more of the creatures had been based on the Super Mario and Yoshi universe, because whenever familiar faces appear, the magic multiplies instantly. Imagine an entire game focused on uncovering every secret behind the creatures of the Mario world. That kind of digital encyclopedia could become something absolutely enormous, and here it only scratches the surface. The game itself is huge, packed with interactions and possibilities, but the core concept was so powerful that it somehow still feels like it only explored a fraction of its full potential. Even so, the result is still a more than remarkable Yoshi adventure doing something completely different. We genuinely enjoyed the experiment. Beyond experimenting with its art style, Yoshi is now daring to innovate with its gameplay as well, opening the door to entirely new ideas and ways to play. We just hope Nintendo continues supporting traditional platformers too, and that experiments like this exist to complement them rather than replace them. Yoshi's true potential still lives within platformers, just as Yoshi's Island proved 30 years ago. And if Donkey Kong Bonanza has shown that the ape can shine in other genres, Yoshi should absolutely take notes without forgetting his roots. A beautiful side adventure that leaves us eager to see the grand adventure this tiny dinosaur truly deserves. Don't miss the rest of the videos on the channel that we've left for you here. And don't forget to subscribe to stay up to date with all the latest news about Nintendo Switch 2. Thanks for watching, and see you next time!